listener production.
Hi, welcome to The Briefing. I'm Sasha Barbagat. There are two types of people in the world, those with empty inboxes and those with thousands of emails sitting unread. Whichever camp you fall into, new research is shining a light on what our inbox management says about us.
What our research found was that if you sort your email into folders and use your inbox as a to-do list, there's a good chance that you'll be more satisfied with how your electronic affairs are organised.
It's a light-hearted but really interesting chat, and it's coming up in the second half of today's episode. First, though, here are today's headlines from the Listener Newsroom. It is Monday, the 1st of April.
Good morning, I'm James Lake. The Coalition is seeing its strongest results with young voters in years, according to a Fresh News poll out today. It's gained 5 points with Aussies between the ages of 18 and 35 to a primary vote of 27%, while Labor's fallen 5 points to 33%. It comes as support for Labor's falling in New South Wales and Western Australia, but still gaining ground in Queensland. One woman remains in intensive care in hospital and another's now stable after a suspected mass drug overdose on the Gold Coast at the weekend. A third woman died at the Esplanade Hotel scene on Friday, where paramedics assessed 7 patients. A record number of illegal nicotine patches have been seized as the Australian government cracks down on vape and illicit tobacco imports. 27,000 cans of the pouches were pulled up in an air freight shipment which landed in Melbourne in Feb. The shipment was estimated to be worth $500,000. New international advice is at odds with Australian guidelines when it comes to what to feed babies. The World Health Organization has updated its guidelines saying that cow's milk is all right for kids now over the age of 6 months as an alternative to formula, with supporters welcoming the cheaper option. But health authorities here say kids consuming animal milk as their main drink under the age of 1 could increase their risk of anemia. And the King is back on the job, with Charles attending the annual Easter church service in Windsor yesterday. It was the monarch's first appearance at a public royal event since his cancer diagnosis was announced back in Feb.
Thanks so much to the team in the Listener Newsroom for that update. Now it's time for our chat about how to deal with your emails. A new study has looked into our relationship with our emails, and apparently only half of us are happy with how we deal with our inboxes. It might not sound like a big deal, but a tidy and organised inbox can sometimes mean the difference between paying your bills on time or missing them. It can also impact our mental health. A number of studies have shown how disorganisation can affect other areas of our lives. So what else does the research tell us, and how should we be managing our inboxes? Joining me now is one of the study's authors, Matt Balog, adjunct lecturer at the University of New England. Matt, thanks for your time today. Look, you've done this study and written this paper about emails. So let's say I have thousands of unread emails in my inbox right now. Should I be worried?
Well, hi, Sasha. I'm not sure if you should be worried, but what our research found was that if you sort your email into folders and use your inbox as a to-do list, there's a good chance that you'll be more satisfied with how your electronic affairs are organised. You're going to have less oversights of missed bills, missing information and so forth.
So it sounds to me, now I am not a hoarder of unread emails. My inbox currently I've got 4 inboxes on my phone. They all have 0 next to them because I'm very up to date with my emails. I do feel stressed out if I see lots and lots sitting there waiting to be read. But to me, what you've described, is that surprising to some people that having a disorganised inbox means you feel disorganised about your life?
Well, I believe that a very large number of people leave all their email in the inbox. And Sasha, you are the model that we need, where once an email is dealt with, it moves out of the inbox. So the inbox becomes this to-do list. I don't think you need to be stressed when there's an email in your inbox. But if there are thousands, and there are many people who have thousands and thousands of emails in their inbox, it's very easy to lose track of what you need to be doing, a bill that needs to be paid, insurance that needs to be renewed, and so forth.
Tell me about your study. How many people participated and how did you go about kind of finding this out?
Well, this is just one step of a series of studies that I'm doing at the University of New England. This particular step was a large online survey of well over 300 respondents. It was not amongst the overall population. It was a particular group. So the results are only applicable to that group at the moment, and you would need to do more research to know if they applied to the general population. But certainly amongst that group, we did some quite advanced statistical analysis, which told us that there was a likely statistical relationship between different practices that people had in managing their electronic records and how satisfied they were with what was happening and how much they avoided oversights like missed bills or subscriptions that should have been cancelled and weren't cancelled.
What made you want to look into this?
I am doing a broader study on how people manage their records at home. In workplaces and organizations, there is probably tens or hundreds of software tools that manage the billing systems, processes that help you manage your email and how things process in a workflow in a workplace. But there's very few such tools for people at home. So organizations can set up things like automatic fines for late payment of a telephone bill, typically $15. You can get fined thousands of dollars and get into trouble for driving your car not fully registered with insurance and so forth. But there are no systems or very few systems to help people at home make sure that they do these things. So the whole purpose of the set of research I'm doing is trying to redress that balance.
Can you tell me if you discovered anything unexpected with this study? Was there something that surprised you at all?
Yes, there's a quite an interesting situation, which is that a lot of bills or other documents come to people not attached as an email from the electricity company or the water company and so forth, but a hyperlink or simply a message, please log into your bank to get your statement. And if people don't go and get those records, they don't have them. And that means that if they then change bank, change electricity supplier, and so forth, it's very hard to get back to those. So I call those pull messages or pull records where you have to go and get them. Now, a classic case is with payslips, that very often organizations don't actually send you a payslip by email every 2 weeks. They may send you an email saying it's there, follow the link to get it, or they may send nothing. Not having your payslips can be very risky, and that is one of the things that completely underlines the Robodebt scandal, because people didn't have the records, and particularly payslips, to defend their position on that.
Is that something that we could encourage change on, perhaps by these big companies, whether it's your employer or your electricity provider, that maybe they need to be doing things a better way?
They would probably say that it's a security issue, attaching some of those records to the emails. So a better way is to get into the practice that when you get that email, just click on the link, take that payslip or that bill and save it somewhere.
You say, this is an exploratory study and that there's more to be done. Given the relationship we have with emails these days, most of us have them on our phone. Most of us use them as a primary form of communication, as we've just talked about, with our workplaces, with our, energy providers and our mobile phone providers and our real estates and all sorts of people, not to mention any personal communications you have via email. Given our relationship with the medium, do you think there are enough studies out there about email management?
Well, there's a lot of research done amongst email management in the workplace and records management in the workplace. That's a very, very big area. My particular area has a lot less done in it and needs a lot more, and that is in your personal lives. So this is the Gmail emails that people send you, which shouldn't really be mixed up with workplace email. And one of the things I would say is don't use your work email as your email address for personal things. There's a lot of issues with that. Your workplace really owns and has access to those emails. You really need to separate your personal email. And the interesting thing is that it seems that a lot of people do organize their email at work very thoroughly into folders and things related to their projects or their interviews and so forth. But they don't do that at home. And one of the things I say is you need to do the same thing. You need to be just as organized at home. And once you've got started on it, it's easy.
Let's talk about the Great Reset. I am absolutely positive that there are lots of people listening to this who are feeling anxious hearing you talk about how we should be treating our email inboxes, especially when it comes to our personal inboxes. How would you advise, based on any of the research you've done, that people can kind of reset and maybe take control back of their out-of-control inboxes?
Well, the reset takes a deep breath, and probably the best thing is to move all of your thousands, if you have thousands of emails that are in your inbox, into a folder and start with a clean inbox. One of the best tasks is that a lot of people receive emails they don't need to. They call it junk email. And with most of that, it's really worth pressing the unsubscribe option. A lot of people think nothing happens, I still get that junk. But actually, if you do that very thoroughly, you will get very little junk email, and that is going to reduce the volume. Then get into the practice of sorting new emails into folders at the point that you've dealt with them. So if a bill comes, leave it in your inbox till you've paid it. Once you've paid it, move it to a folder. And the other thing is to pull down those emails or records that are sent to you as a link rather than an attachment to the email. So 4 simple habits will help a lot.
I'm going to take some of those on because I'm not that organised. I just can't stand to see that little number next to the inbox. So I just either delete it or leave it on red. So I'm going to definitely take some of those habits into the future for myself. Look, before we let you go, Matt, what future studies have you got planned in this space? Is there anything else you're looking to find out around this area?
We have been experimenting with software to assist in this, just a prototype. And so there may be a paper on that later on. But software that can assist you in sorting email and figuring out what the content of that email is and what's important would really help.
It's an interesting topic, definitely one that I think most people wouldn't think so actively about or think that there would be these great studies into. So thank you for sharing your research with us and thank you for your time.
All the best, Sasha.
That is all for this morning's podcast. Thanks so much for listening. I would love if you could share this episode with a friend or a colleague or your dad, anyone you think might like the briefing. The team will be back this Savo at 3 with another deep dive as well. I'm Sasha Barbagat. See you next time.
Listener.